Alright. Hey guys, I'm back. I know usually I stream in the evenings, but today I've got D&D. I've got people coming over tonight. So I'm going to paint now instead of later. Yeah. I'm just going to organize my paints. So it's the teal, this color, lots of greens, a couple of browns, and the black. The red is not going to be an issue right now. Okay. Got all the things. Let me just quickly wash my station. I got this mat from Amazon, and it advertised itself as being like easy to clean. That is an understatement. This thing is really easy to clean. Okay. I'm gonna stick to the formula. I'm gonna do random marine, and then get back into painting my thing. Again, it's about getting used to and getting back into the groove over and over again, and remembering to try and keep loose, keep on trying new things. So let me quickly. I'm gonna grab my face cam. This one, because after doing this a couple of times, I want after doing this a couple times, I know that I want my face to be captured as well. So what I'm going to do is move this over here, put my face in there, and I guess I'll bring in this as well. Oops, daisies. Copy this and put it into here and make it little. It's just so that I can edit it later and like it'll fit a little bit better. Yeah. That's close enough. Alright, now you can see my hands, and you can see a spinner. You can see everything. Because when I edit this, I'm just going to be using the spinner part. Like, I'm just going to cut the rest of it out. It's just nice to have it, all in one thing. It'll make it easier for me later on. And I guess the last thing I need is this. Actually, I don't need that. I need this. There we go. And I'll put that over here on this side. There we go. I know it's a mess. But, alright. Let's spin this. Let's see what we get. For the body, it's going to be... pastel orange. Okay. Let me write that down. I have learned how to adjust the brightness of my camera on the fly. Well, that was 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Pads and helmet. We're gonna do... turquoise. Very pastel, okay. This one actually might be a good looking, palette. This might be my first good looking palette on the whole thing. Of course, now that I've said that, I've probably damned myself. Alright, trim color. Orange and turquoise. Nice and complementary. And they're both pastel. Okay. Light orange is going to look a lot like regular orange. Weapon color. No. Okay. Well, I was so close. We were so close to like a good balanced palette. And then I guess I just shot too far to the sun, Weapon. Light orange. God. Okay. Special. Oh, I don't. This is gonna probably absolutely make it whack. Let's see what happens. Ooh. Okay. Brush only. Okay. That just means that this marine's going to take a little bit longer than usual because I have to use a brush for everything. But that's fine. I can do that. I'm a big boy. I can handle this. Alright. Back over to the main broadcast. Here, let me turn up the brightness. Okay. Light orange. No airbrush. Light orange. Oh man, this is gonna be weird. This is gonna be really weird. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna base it in something that has crazy high coverage, and then I guess work up the orange. Pastel orange. I think I'm gonna base coat it in red. Sorry, too much brightness. I'm gonna base coat it in the blood red. I'm going to and I really need to get another orange, but this is the orange I'm going to work up to, because the pastel look, like what makes it work is it's very flat. It's got darker, more saturated colors in the edges and lighter, less saturated colors in the center. So, yeah. I think this is going to be it for the orange. For the pastel turquoise, I'm not even going to mess around. It's going to be this. Like, it's going to be the Toxic Mist with maybe like a wash. For the light orange, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix in a bit of matte white, and make it a lighter orange. And because we're working with oranges, I'm going to be using Strong Tone from Army Painter to wash it down a little bit. But because we're doing brush only, we're going to start with the big fat brush. Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to dry brush the whole thing. I'm going to paint the whole thing properly. Actually, do I have a different... I might have a better base to start with. Let me see. Because the red, I think, is going to be too strong. So I think I'm going to start... That's copper. That shouldn't be there. Nope. I think I might actually start with Mornfang Brown instead of the red. I think the red's going to take it the wrong direction. So red can go back. Apologies. Mornfang Brown, that's what I'm using. And I'm going to work up to orange from Mornfang Brown, from Citadel. And I'm going to base... the body will be Mornfang Brown because it's the pastel orange. That's going to pop. And then what I'll do is I'll mix some white into it to make it... like to give it a lighter base for the parts that are going to be lighter. Water on the palette. Big brush. I need a big brush. Let's use this. I've mistreated this one pretty badly, but it still works well. Okay. I'm going to do 2 thin coats. This is already pretty watered, so the coverage should be very good already. But because I'm doing brush only, it's kind of a nice way to like practice some brush skills. It's been a while since I've done brush only. I almost always start with like some kind of airbrush work. Honestly, this could end up looking kind of cool. Kind of like a... like a weird orange version of Iron Fist. What is it? Emperor's Fists? The yellow ones. If anyone knows, just drop it in. I have a feeling when I post this video of this model, it's going to be like a super sped up version. I doubt that I'll be posting this in like real speed because it'll take so long. The weapon is also light orange. I don't really have to worry about that. So if you're like me and you're impatient, but you still want to stick to the two thin coats, here's your solution. Thin it down a lot so that the paint has a fair bit of water in it. Make sure you use water and not like medium, whatever, acrylic medium, because water will evaporate faster. Which normally you don't want that. Normally acrylic medium is better because it will keep the paint alive for longer. But when you are base coating, we're not worried about keeping the paint alive. We just want the paint on and quickly. So if you have more water in your paint, you will have an easier time you'll have a faster time waiting for it to... I'm going to adjust the camera so that I can see a little bit better. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let me just adjust some lights so that we can see a little bit better. That should do it. All right. So if you're doing two thin coats anyways, having more water will make those coats go a lot faster. Oh, what am I doing? I've got a little handle. Let's put them on the handle. There we go. That's way better. You find yourself getting to an area where it's just not getting any thicker. You know, you apply your paints and it's just taking off paint rather than applying new layers of paint. That means that the layers underneath are still too wet and that you need to move on to a different section, let it dry, and then you can come back later and do it. But again, thinning your paints down a lot with water means that your layers should dry faster. I also like this exercise because, like, it's meditative almost. Just to, I know my task. The pressure is pretty low because, if I do a terrible job on this model, it's part of a daily series. It's part of every day this goes out. Actually, it hasn't been going out. I need to edit the videos, but every day it gets filmed. So it's just one in a lineup of hundreds. Not yet. Right now, this is just number 6, but eventually. Okay. Well, the sets, I'm going to get a lighter color together, which is just going to be... can I use this? Is this still active? No. Just going to add in a little bit of Flake One Flesh to lighten up my brown. There we go. So that when I base coat the weapon and the trim, and I guess also the helmet, it ends up being a fair bit lighter, noticeably lighter. Usually when people ask me about making color palettes for their armies, I tell them just to pick 3 colors and stick to it. In this little exercise, I've got 4 colors. Although, weirdly, in this situation, I have 3 colors because I rolled doubles. So I'm actually closer to, how you're supposed to paint now than I usually am. I mean, it's not a rule. You can use as many colors as you want, obviously. But it's just when you're planning out a palette, because the pressure's on when you plan out an army palette. Your army is going to be dozens of models that you're going to be painting kind of the same way. You want to make sure that you have a good plan before you just go in. Otherwise, you're going to spend dozens of hours painting models that either A, don't match, which sounds a lot worse than it actually is, or B, look bad, or C, don't match the chapter aesthetic that you want. All right. Cool. Base coat down. I'm gonna do one more layer of the light brown. Sorry, of the regular brown. Just to make sure I've got that really good, really well uncovered. For the future, I gotta remember if I ever pull dark orange that this, what is this again? Bugman's Glow? Mornfang Brown works really well as a dark orange. Like, even if I just mixed in a little bit of orange to this would be spot on. It's not that much of a surprise. Most browns are pretty close to a dark orange. Oh, shit. Yeah. It's fine. Okay. Time to come in with orange. Which I'm going to try and make myself, because this is, even says on the label, light orange. So I'm going to make my own orange using classic red and yellow. But orange is not equal parts red and yellow. It's yellow with a little bit of red, because red tends to be a very strong pigment. It's funny, with the color grading that I'm seeing on Twitch, it already looks orange. But of course, like, to me, it's not. Oops. Get back on there. Grab my brush. Let's make some orange. Okay. There we go. Got our orange. Took a bit of extra work, but we got there. important to breathe. Important also to just sort of be present, you know. My project today is the I'm continuing the Skullwalker, and for that one, the whole thing is lighting. I've set it up with like really, really strong red blue highlights. And the rest, I mean, that was like the first 20 minutes of painting the model, basically. And then the remaining, 10 hours is going to be calling out all the details that belong to that model. Without losing the really cool coloring that I've given it. Because it's easy enough to apply a bunch of color using an airbrush. It's a fair bit more difficult to maintain that color throughout the rest of the paint job. Okay. Feet, pretty close to done. The feet. And then I can work my way up to the arms, which will go a fair bit faster than the legs, because there's less arms than there are legs. Not numerically, but in terms of surface area. So many coats of this orange. Like it's coming, but ugh. So many coats. The one upside of painting by hand is you can really pick out which parts you actually want to paint orange, and the rest of it you can leave brown. Like, there's been a couple of times in my other paint jobs where I've got like the whole backpack one color, and I've contemplated making certain elements, you know, a different color. Like, for instance, the functional parts of the jets on the sides of the backpack. Jets or exhaust vents or whatever. I'm not really sure what these balls are, but whatever, the balls. And so that's always been, in my mind, a subtractive style. I have already painted it, and I'm going to try and take away elements by using a darker paint. And subtractive styles tend to be a little bit more challenging because, as you saw with the previous one, if you make a mistake using a dark color as your highlight or whatever, it's visible everywhere. Which is the case with any paint, but it's even more the case with like dark paints. Whereas with an additive style, which is to say I'm picking out the parts that are going to be painted and then painting them, as opposed to having to go back in and take stuff away, I have a much easier time just picking out the parts that are going to be lit up, leaving out, or just leaving them as like that brown base coat, the parts that I don't want picked up. And yeah, that's all much easier with a brush, you know, painting by hand, than it is with airbrush, where you've already got it covered. Like all these little creases in the cracks of the armor. That's quite annoying to do if you've already based it all that, you know, super bright orange. I kind of just like, why would I do that when I can just use a wash to get the same effect? And don't get me wrong, I'm still going to use a wash, but I don't need to get those like strong armor creases. Also, someone's, I'm sure, going to say it, the strong armor creases, the brown lines between it, all the different plating of the armor, was not part of the challenge. I just decided to do it for fun. I thought it would look good with the brown and orange combo. That's all. That's all. There's a couple of things on the specialty wheel, like the special option wheel, I've never actually done myself. Like, I know they exist. Doing cartoon style that I did yesterday, that's an example. I know the theory, like I understand like conceptually what goes into doing the cartoon style. but I've never actually done it. Having done it now yesterday, I would be interested to give it another try if I wasn't doing metallics. The cartoon style with metallics was, especially as my first time ever doing it, brutal. I'm still getting a lot of texture, even though I've thinned out my layers, and that comes down to I've been impatient. Because this is supposed to be a short exercise, so I'm not doing like, full display pieces. I'm just warming up. But if my opponent showed up with this level of painting, which is to say, like, kind of rushed, but, cohesive, I would not blink. I'd be very happy. I'd be glad that they did it, put in the time. Cool. Second coat on the backpack, then I can just do the helmet, and then I'm done the orange primary. You know what's funny? How similar the helmets look like the hairstyles from like 80s action movies, with the shaved mohawk, the single strip of hair that goes straight back across these like soldiers' heads. It's funny how they sculpted that into the helmet. Okay. That's our base of orange done. I know it looks kind of yellow in this lighting, but that is orange. At least in my eyes it is. Now time to make an even lighter orange. Do some quick edge highlighting. With a different brush. Actually, I'm gonna, because I got it on the brush already, I'm just gonna paint some of the light orange bits. Pads and helmet, pastel turquoise, trim, light orange. Okay. I'm gonna have to go back over. I screwed up on the helmet. I was not supposed to make that orange. That is okay. Do. Okay. For the edge highlighting, I think I'm just going to bust out the pure orange. And then I'm going to hit everything with a wash. A brown wash. And then I will do the shoulder pads separately, because they are the only thing in the entire model that is not supposed to be orange. That and the helmet. And I think the brown will react to the turquoise in a weird way, which I don't necessarily want that. So I'm going to avoid it. Yeah, so far this paint color, like this works. I'm good with this. This is a working palette. So much better than some of the other ones I've had. I'm looking at you, Pink. I've got no issue with pink, by the way. But, like, look at this thing. Craziness. Just crazy. Alright. We're getting the orange. Just straight up orange. Okay. We shall see how well this works as a highlight. It might work. It might not work. It might just end up being invisible. It is invisible. Okay, let's bring in some white. Okay. That's better. Edge highlighting, almost done. I remember when I was a kid, and the students, I was like my classmates, we had this art class, and all the girls had taken to the same style. We were drawing aliens, and they would draw the alien, and then when it came time to color it, what they would do is they would lightly fill. It was all of them, by the way. They all kind of like glommed onto the same style. It was also the 90s where everyone was trying to like be the same. Anyways, they all kind of filled in their alien drawings, which were not the same, with a strong dark highlight, and then these are like colored pencils, and then they would come in with a and then they would kind of like loosely sketch the color on the inside. At the time, I was like, "Why are you doing this? This is like, why are you not filling in the whole thing properly? Why are you doing that dark highlight?" Eventually, I figured it out. It's that they wanted to focus on the forms that they had made, rather than the blue or the red or whatever color they had. They enjoyed the drawing so much they wanted to draw again. I also figured out a separate thing, which is, mind your business. Totally different, but equally important lesson. Alright, edge highlighting done. I'm going to hit this thing with a wash. Then I'm going to do the turquoise bits. I'm going to wash that. And then I'm going to get into actually painting the thing that I'm focusing on painting today. Which, if you haven't seen it yet, is this wonderful creature. Which I really do feel like I got the lighting right. It really does look and feel as if I'm holding a bright red light up to it. At any rate, is that peeling off, or is that just an optical illusion? That is a bit of both. That's alright. Strong tone. Where's my wash container? I like to do washes in a plastic bottle rather than... There we go. Rather than on my palette, because they're kind of messy. Okay. Got our strong tone. Let's just test it a little bit on the foot. Not like that. Perfect. That is what I want. It's going to wash this whole thing. And because I based the whole thing in brown, the dark recesses that are going to be augmented by the wash are just going to blend right in. They're going to look like they belong there. I will also be coming back in and washing away the excess wash, because I don't want to leave all this streakiness where it is. Okay, that's what we were looking for. Nice even wash. Half of the work of applying a wash is cleaning up the wash. Unless you're going for the super grimy kind of look. But I wasn't. Alright. One last bit to wash, which is the gun, which is convenient because I've just run out. And I'll get a little bit more wash for the helmet. We're actually going to water down the helmet wash. It's just so that I'm not giving myself too much work. All right. All that's left now is the teal pieces. But can I just say, we already have a very, like, bumblebee-looking result. This is the first random marine to genuinely look good. Hey, Irene. Yeah, we've had so many random marines that look weird, that look wrong, that look... Well, this is kind of on me. This is a pretty fine palette. And then we had this one that would look kind of okay. This is the Ken Marine. But this is the first one that genuinely looks good. This looks like a real contender. Now, I just need to, give it a minute before I put the turquoise on. But it's looking really good. Oh, of course, the turquoise is going to ruin everything. I just know it. Okay, turquoise. Let's do your thing. Irene, welcome back to the chat. How are you doing? Okay. Same issue as before. It's going to be thin layers. But can I just say this is definitely working. This is a real color palette. Just going to give it a second to dry. And then I'll go and put on the second coat. But yeah, this is 100% a viable color palette. It's going to need a third coat. Yeah, I was a little bit eager on that one. We're just waiting for layers to dry. So, Irene, I want to show you, this is the creature that we're painting today. I don't have a holder that's big enough that can actually keep this creature mounted. It's too big. But this is it. And so far what we've done is we've done a bit of the skulls in the body. We've done some contrast, making the body feel more like it's made out of woven branches and stuff. And yeah, right now we're playing with like, how do we get some of these elements to really shine? So the last thing I did before I left was try to put some wood colors into the leg here, which I think worked pretty well. Yes, it's a Wendigo. I've called it the Skullwalker just to differentiate it because I have a couple of different Wendigo models. But yes, it is a Wendigo. Pretty excited to finish it. I don't know if I'm gonna finish it today, but I'm gonna try and get some good work done on it. Alright, these layers are taking a while to dry, so I'm actually just going to leave this. I'll come back and apply the final layers a little later on, but check it out. This is the first random marine roll that we've had that had a good, usable, like, interesting palette. This could be, again, I gotta put another couple layers in that teal, but this could be used in a war game. This could be used in Warhammer. This is a good palette. Once again, I got... let me zoom out a little bit. And... yeah. So I got, for body, pastel orange. For the helmets, pastel turquoise. For the trim, light orange. For the weapon, light orange. For the special, brush only. How does it work? I'll show you. I go over to this screen. And I click on this wheel. And then it tells me what color to do. Light teal, there's one of them. I've already done my thing, but yeah. So for the past few, we've had This is Random Marine 2. We've had green, teal, and dark orange, which kind of was like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We've had dark red, dark blue, and brown, which is awful. This was just dark on dark on dark. We've had baby, like light blue, light teal, and orange. This one actually worked pretty well. And then dark brown for the weapon. This one was chaos. Silver body, metallic pink, silver gun, and yeah, and dark teal. This was rough. This was a bad one. But you can see what I mean. We've had our first one that's like, oh, this looks good. This looks like interesting, and like this is a cool color combination. Because so many of the ones previously have been just bunk. I do themes sometimes. For now, I'm just working through. We're not even working through. I'm just doing a bunch of like. It's just completely random. The color collection. Yeah. See, the thing is, I kind of like the chaos. I'm here for the chaos. I'm here for the things when they go wrong. So, so I'm gonna keep on doing the chaos the chaotic way. And yeah, I'm just jumping right into continuing the Skullwalker. And what I'm doing to keep my lighting, I'm actually leaving the light parts alone. I'm focusing on the parts that are dark, and dropping in some brown, but just like little hints of it, you know? Not like I'm not dousing the whole thing in brown. Because I wanted to still very much read as this is wood in a strong light. As opposed to this is just wood. It's a very different kind of paint job than what I've done in the past. And this is the kind of situation where working in CAD software would be so much easier, because I could just do the part that I'm focused on and not worry about how the lighting is going to affect it, because the lighting isn't a thing that you add in later. Yeah, yeah. The last time was rough. Good, but rough. I still had a lot of fun painting it. Tiny brush. Where's my tiny brush? There's my tiny brush. Hello, tiny brush. How are you doing? Come here, tiny brush. We got some tiny work to do. Do 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 do. Cool. That's some woody looking wood. Still haven't really decided what this viney stuff is made of. I got no idea. getting those little details to show up in that red is going to be interesting. I don't know what color to do the mushrooms. I'm not sure. Woo. So many little details. So many, so many. The trick here is to try and like ride the line of where is it light because it's blue light versus where is it light just because there's light. And like try and find the spots where I can introduce the color without taking away from that strong blue illumination. It is a very... It creates a lot of visual tension, which is a lot of fun. We love visual tension. When someone's looking at this, they can clearly see, like, oh yeah, there's, you know, quite a bit going on. I mean, initially you look at it and you're like, okay, blue-red. What I want is that as you spend more time looking at it, it becomes more and more clear what else is in there. Like the skulls. I want the skulls to pop. Not take this, not to outshine the crazy cool light, but I want them to still appear. I want them to still pop. So that means that the primary colors of the model are actually taking a backseat. I'm doing this the opposite way of how you'd normally do object source lighting. Normally you would paint the whole model to completion and then apply the lighting over top. That's not what I'm doing here. Here I've already done the lighting. I'm applying the color underneath. Literally underneath. Okay. These vines are everywhere. Which I guess is a little bit the point. Hey Irene, if you're there, how should I do these mushrooms? Like, what are some good mushroom colors? I don't know mushrooms very well. I'm not much of a mushroom man. I heard a ding. Check that later. Okay. Back to the weird vine things. Oh, this color might have been too much. Well, maybe not. I'm gonna have to color shift it to be more red. So I've been focusing on the blue parts because the blue parts are easy. This green is naturally green. Like I don't need to do a whole lot to keep it from looking really out of place. And even if I do have areas where like I mess up, the green and the blue blends together really nicely. The red, however, the red is a different story. Of course, that also means the red is where it's much more interesting. And challenging. Yeah. So, on the bright side, the red will be easier on the wood. The wood will be much easier with red. Yeah. Let me just have a look in here. Okay, we don't actually have a lot to do in the red. It's mostly the bone that's in the red. So what I'll do is I'm going to grab some of this red that I have on the palette. The green I've been using. Actually, that might have been enough right there. And I've got my red tinted green color. Kind of ends up as like a bit more of a muddy brown, but that tint shifting is going to be really helpful in terms of like blending into the already very red scene. And when it's contrasted with the actual red, it should read as green. Which is a little bit of crazy color theory for you color nerds. Great. That is very much the way I wanted it. Kind of came out really well. Got a fair bit of bones in here I gotta worry about. Alright. I also got these. All right. We are making excellent progress. Oh. Up next, I'm going to go back to the browns. I'm going to color shift the brown to be a little bit more red. Again, it's a very simple process of just mixing red into the brown. That's it. And that's how you color shift brown. I'm going to green up the brown just a little bit. Switch brushes to something a little bit more forgiving. Just going to start. After I do a little bit of this, I'll jump back over to the random marine and get that all sorted out. I don't want to leave it for too long. This big arm in the front is going to be a big focus point. Not only because it's already the focal point of the model, with all this, at least in the red zone, but also because messing this up here would be a big pain, because it's not exactly a place I can hide. Oh no, I'm running out. I'm gonna need more. Okay. Let's make this a bit darker. Do I have any good black? Is this black usable? No. I shall get some black. Oh, I'm sorry. I was behind the thing. Okay. That arm is looking quite nubby. And that dark brown is working. It's magic. Now I need to make a similar color, but more blue coated. Or green coated, I guess. I do not know how I'm going to get in there at all. Okay. Very fall coated, very indeed. Oof. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a pause to go and get some lunch. But we're making excellent progress. I need to come back and do the other arm, but the other arm is gonna be all blue. I've been doing all the red sections up to this point. And yeah, I've got some blue to do. But once again, this is how it's all going to come together. It's all going to be on this base here, like this. And yeah, we're just going to keep on adding little hints of color, with the focus being the face, the antlers, the claws, maybe a little bit of the hair. But yeah, I'll hop back on in roughly an hour. I just need a minute to, not a minute, I need some time to go and have some lunch. Oh wait, before I go, let me finish up Random Marine of the Day. That is definitely dry by now. Because if it's not, then, you know, the rest of the paint that I was using definitely is. Let me just make it nice and thin. All right. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Always good to get a bit of practice in. To try something different, even if you are on a big project, doing something that requires hours and hours and hours of focus. It's great to just give yourself a little project, something that is like, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever. Gets you out of your everyday and gets you trying to do something a little bit different. Even if your exercise becomes every day, it's not like the majority of your day. And that's our random marine. I realize I haven't done anything with the base, but I don't usually have to, because usually it's just already sprayed. Let me see, what color do I have lots of? I can whip up... You know what? I'm going to put some of that brown into that orange I was using. Maybe darken it a little bit. And that'll be our base color. Weird mix of all of them. Yes. Alright. Just a little guy. Just a little guy. Look at that. Alright, that's Random Marine number 6. Completed with his very usable and very sensible color palette. This is a good palette. If anyone's looking for like a different way to do their Marines, this works. This really works. And yeah, this will be interesting. Irene, when you get a chance, think about some colors that you want for the mushrooms on this guy's legs. I've got in my notes these like white sections where like mushrooms or other flora are growing on his body. And I'm still gonna do that. It'll be in the wooden panels, but I'd still like to know what do you think? What color should the mushrooms be? I'm going to go for lunch. I'll come back on in a bit. See you later.